So there's always silver linings to every dark cloud, but you've got to be well read on this stuff. And as Bob said, you got to sit on top of this stuff. The average person out there, Greg, I would say, does not have the savvy that you do.
Well, and I agree, and I'm by no means an expert, but the one thing that I can say is that barring everything else, the constant reminder, the harping that we hear from your network and from other shows in the Patriot movement about being prepared and stocking up and having food and having ammunition and having firearms and keeping gold and all of those things, it's no different than than planning for any other kind of disaster. Being prepared and not needing it is a lot better than not being prepared and needing it. So
but
I thank you for your service.
Thank you, Greg. But the one thing to consider in that analogy is that, we can suffer hurricanes, we can suffer tornadoes, we can suffer wildfires, and we can do all of these things. Those are temporary. What we're looking at here is an artificially created event that they're intentionally exacerbating to extract more wealth and transfer it around. There's a little difference there. Greg, I thank you for your call, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good afternoon.
You too. We'll be back. Money everywhere, but not a dollar to spend. And as I look at the verbiage that's still being thrown around on Capitol Hill, they better not do Bernanke on a Friday, because inherently the markets seem to go kaflooey on a Friday. Anytime that Mr. Bernanke is speaking...
This Friday is going to be bad anyway. Got the jobs report.
By the way...
jobs report's going to be ugly.
Bob, you said that you're looking at the Dow to bottom out between, 28 and 32?
That's if we're fortunate. If we retrace the 1933 market, we'll go down 89%, which will be 1,260 to 1,450 in that zone. And, this goes back a long time. And we really should have visited that area from where we were at that time in 1991, 92, and we never did. And the gap's never been filled. And I think that's where we're headed. And this, to me, and I didn't live during the Depression, but I grew up during, the 1940s. And so I heard lots and lots and lots of stories about what happened. And I think this is going to be about 5 times worse. So I think we can easily, and I hate to scare people, but I think we could easily get down there. So we're going to be lucky if we get to 4,000 and it sticks. Because what they're doing is not going to work, and they know it's not going to work. They've tried it over and over again through the centuries. They're taking this world economy down because they want world government. And that's what they're doing at foreign. It's being done deliberately. And when they get down there, if they're unsuccessful and they cannot control the militaries in the different countries, they're all going to die.
Where? What year was the Dow at 4,000, Bob?
Oh, I can't remember that.
Was it in the 80s?
Yeah, but I can't pinpoint it.
Well, that's where real estate prices are going. They're going to go back to 1980,
81.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had quite a bust. Actually, the market topped out at the end of 79. No, actually, it began. I wrote an article, and so didn't. I can't think of his name, but he's still in business. Comstock Partners, the Italian guy. I forget his name. But anyway, we were the only two who wrote in September of '88 that the real estate market was going to collapse. And I told all of our subscribers, and I was a broker then, everybody, if you want to sell real estate, you got to do it now. I sold my house in Malibu in November. I closed it, and I sold it for $1 million. and I might add that I paid $200 for it. And in 1992, I could have bought it back for $440,000. So that's the kind of haircut expensive homes took in those days. But yes, I think we're close in many areas to 1981-82 prices now.
I mean,
but I think they're going lower. I mean, there's going to be no buyers. I mean, what they're doing is like putting on price controls. You know, they're putting off reality into the future, which is going to elongate the problem by extending it unnaturally. And it's not going to work. We're going to have depression for years.
And that's the sole reason why they can't price any of those assets that are held by the banks.
And that's the reason you must have gold.
Thanks, Bob.
You know, I'm fascinated here. I'm looking at a story out of the Independent, out of New England, Old England, jolly old. And the headline, and I love this, you know, who's being raided? Who is the robber and who is the victim? Shares crash as savers raid $8 billion from accounts. Now, when you're talking about corporate raiders, private corporations, banks, whatever. Now, the story leads out by saying the pressure of an intensifying recession saw British companies and households launch an $8 billion raid on their savings in January, according to the figures from the Bank of England. Now, we know, and what used to work in this country is production and savings. Production and savings. Now, we have massive credit debt. We put our full faith in the credit of our vaunted leaders and what they were telling us, that the banking system was sound and everything is just fine. They're taking us down this path. And I was worried initially when we were looking at this stuff back in August, Bob, July, August of last year. Northern Rock was the first one to go, hey, we're solvent. Never mind those people lining up the front door to get their savings out. What I was afraid that these bank runs would expose their fractionalized reserve system. In other words, they don't have enough cash on demand to pay back their depositors from the depositors to have their money in their respective banks. And that could have brought the banking system to a screeching halt overnight.
Well, that's the reason why Bank of England started printing money today.
Again.
Yeah, and look, I mean...
200 billion, wasn't it? 200 billion pounds?
I mean, this is the reality of the situation. We've got a savings rate that went from 0 in the United States. I don't know the last figures. Bob can correct me here. I think savings rate is now up to 4%. And as the savings rate goes higher, that means obviously people are saving more and spending less.
Yes.
And if the U.S. economy is based on 70% of consumer spending, hello.
Yeah. And, Bob, you write about that in your newsletter.
Well, we went from 72 down to 71. We're probably close to 60 right now as a percentage. 70 is a percentage of GDP. Long term is 64.5 average. So to get down to 64.5 would not be unusual. What would that mean in the kind of society we have today? Money and credit. It would make 5 times worse than the Depression.
You know, we're dealing with a real bad situation, but nobody seems to want to deal in realities. Nobody wants to call a spade in this deal.
We're in the 3 stages: denial, acceptance, and capitulation. We are bordering on the denial and acceptance stage. We on capitulation watch, though. So, yeah, I mean, people are in denial. They think, I mean, look, Barack Obama came out today and he suggests people start buying stocks. I mean, when was the last time you heard a president advising? George Bush advised people to go shopping.
Yeah, after 9/11. Yeah, go out shopping. Yeah, go shop.
Well, maybe Barack's smarter than Bush is. Who knows?
Well, he's got a better rap, that's for sure. But he's cut out of the same cloth.
Well, I think he did that to counter what Warren Buffett said yesterday.
Yeah. What was Warren's overall message? We're really screwed.
We're in a world of hurt, and it's going to get a lot worse.
Now,
and inflation's coming. Don't forget that.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that one.
Keith, yeah, we're still waiting for that shoe to drop. And, folks, it ain't going to be pretty when it does. Can anybody say Zimbabwe? Keith in Indiana. Hello, Keith.
Yes, hello to the three. Got a quick one for each of you.
Mm-hmm.
Betty prompted my call. I have a friend. She bought a single premium annuity 7 years ago. I think it's lifetime payout. But she got a statement in January. Now, she's been divesting into metals and that, doing pretty well with it. But it said on there, cash value of this policy is $22,000. And there's a little note at an asterisk at the bottom that says, some policies may or may not have a cash value depending on payout option. But she called in, and the receptionist on the phone laughed and said, oh, no, there's no payout.